funny story before I start. I actually got a text message from a friend during the break saying that he got a question from Northvolt if this was, and he asked me if it was a good company to work for. So I said directly, yes, do it, go for it. So that's actually interesting. Before Sabine asked you if you were refreshed of what she said, and it was only 2 people that answered, said yes. So I was thinking then we should start by a little practice. You will actually get it back. You know, afterwards, my presentation, you will think, it was that he was talking about. Everybody that has a pen can pick it up. If you have a pen, I have a lovely Optilon pen. It goes with your finger also. What you should do is actually put it in your mouth, like this, or the pen. Hold it. Look at your neighbor. Do you feel something in your brain now? You laugh a little bit. You're more energized. You're more happy. What you actually think now is, damn, he looks funny. But it's actually dopamines or serotonins that actually, it's actually serotonin and oxytocin that works in your brain at the moment and say that, oh, we're part of something bigger. And you start to feel something good. And now what you actually do is you laugh, you're happy, you're smiling. And it actually goes directly. So if you have, I actually tried it several times. For example, when there was a funeral, people thought I was crazy. But I was actually taking the pen in because the head starts to change it. We will come back to that later on. Did I get the... It's more easy to do the presentation now. Thank you. Okay, this is me. I'm the clown. As you see, no, I've done this presentation, or not this presentation, but I used this presentation several times before. And for those that are from Sweden, you all know that that's Globalizing in the beginning there. But for those that comes from abroad, it's actually Unilever. So I started my career at Unilever, and then I've done several workplaces before I came to Lantmännen in 2012, I think it was. And since 3 years ago, almost 3 years ago, I started working as an operations director for Lantmännen Unibake Sweden. Lantmännen, it is an economic association. Farmers, we live and breathe farming, actually. We make farming thrive, we say. And it is because we are owned by the farmers. So everything we do in the company is actually making the grain is our green thread, as we say. We try to, well, it is, as you heard the earlier speaker, everything is about making it sustainability. This is what we try also. We are a big company, and it is actually so that we have from field to fork, everything in between. So our supply chain, even if it's divided between several companies within Lantmännen, we own the from field to fork, more or less. This is the supply chain that we operate. In the middle, it is the grain and other crops that our farmers, our owners, are working with. We support them with a lot of things, for example, feed factories or etc. But everything goes back, and in the end, there is where I work, and some of my partners that are here, in the food production, and where we sell. But everything goes back. So it's a circular economy, we normally call it. It is, as I said, a cooperative business, and the farmers own us. They are at the moment somewhere around 25,000. They were so much many more earlier. But the farming business gets bigger and bigger and bigger. We had a tough year, as you know, so next year will be extremely tough for us, but we're here to work with it. We have an agriculture sector. Of course, that's what you always see when you think about Lantmännen. We have an energy sector and a food sector. What I will talk about today is the food sector, where we actually take the last part to the fork. We are working in all countries, as we said. We have factories in many countries. But let's focus on Unibake. It is the most global part of the business here. We, as I said, I have some colleagues here, and we are from all parts of the world, more or less. It's a global business. Some of the brands you know, we have just updated our vision and mission, and it's actually, well, we try to lead the business, the bakery business. That's our target, to lead the bakery business and to be loved in every country. Most of the time you don't know that it is our product that you eat, because it is through others, our customers, that we normally don't talk so much about. But we have our own brands, and some of them you know. And people should be happy when they eat our products. If you focus on this one then, Lantmännen Unibake is, yes, the global brand. So we have factories in more than 20 countries. We have 6,000 professionals that work with it, 35 bakeries. I think it's 37, as you see in the next page, and we have a profit of annual sales of something like that. But now focus on what we should talk about. We had a journey, as we said, or we are in the journey. We are very much working in the journey. We started, it depends on what country you are from. But for us, we say that this business started in 1957 in a small bakery in Karlskoga, 2 hours away from here, where two persons started to rolling hot dog breads by hand. In 1963, they decided to start a business in Örebro, making it better and better. And that was the starting point, according to us, for everything that has happened since then. And we have bought companies, we have sold companies, we have built bakeries, etc., etc. So it's been a tremendous journey. During this journey, as I said, this is what we are at the moment. It's 37 bakeries, over 100 production lines. A massive thing to actually plan, and the supply chain is big. But in 2013, the company became so big. We had an acquisition, etc. So the company was so big that we needed to have a strategy. We needed to start focusing on something else than earlier. Earlier, every country ruled themselves. That's not possible when you get up to 15 countries or something. You cannot rule yourself. You need to have a common way of working. So we started with a global strategy, a global headquarter in Copenhagen. We decided to start with what we call the One Unibake strategy, which is that you put up global targets. You talk about white spots, where we want to be. You talk about sales for themselves and operations for themselves. And at that point, we started up the supply chain function. Many of you think, what? Starting a supply chain function in 2013? How come? Yes, supply chain was a new word in this business in 2013. Really strange, but it's true. And we started actually taking in global processes like sales and operations planning. After that, we decided then to work with functional excellence. That's a part of the strategy, to focus on a number of functional excellence to become this, to take in this standardization. Every country worked for themselves earlier. Now we should work as common, take best practices, and work as standard. Because we have come from being by ourselves, we bought companies, and now we need to work as a company. Commercial excellence is a good example, operational excellence, etc. Several of those programs we started 2013, 14, 15. It's interesting that step change quality was a different name, but quality people are a little bit different. But let us focus on planning excellence, because planning excellence was a big project. Planning has always been done in Excel and on paper, but we decided let's standardize that. So we decided a strategy that global S&OP should be what we want. We needed processes and structures, big target for that one, and of course that we should work as one team in planning. So it was the culture project. The one Unibake we decided to work with. And it is complex. It is extremely complex when you have many countries. So it was the combination of going from the local bakeries to a global structure and back to the local market, sales and market. It's very complex. It requires a lot of people, a lot of talented people to work with, and also tools and techniques, etc., etc. This was our functional excellence project, focusing on that one. I will come back to it a little bit, but we started up, for example, the global supply chain team. From the beginning, we were one person, Anna told me today, and now we are more people working as global supply chain team. Or actually, nowadays, everybody is a global supply chain team. The phase was like this. We started in 2013, and we had a rollout phase. We decided tools, we decided processes, we decided everything that we needed, the competences, talents in supply chain. We needed those people. We started recruiting, we defined what IT solution we should have, we worked with the implementation plan, and we started training people. Train. And then in 2015, we decided now the implementation phase is over. Are we using the tools, the system? No, we are not. So we said we need to practice and do a lot of those things and train. More training. And we also needed to take in global process owners, business process managers, as we talk about, that can actually be the glue between the local business and the global business. And now we are at somewhere where we actually have a business running. Are we perfect? No, we are not. But we continue to work with it, and we are continuing train in each countries. And we expand the network also with more and more people every day. So the supply chain team that was one is now the full company, more or less. But what we learned through this journey with the functional excellence programs, and we still learn that, is that all people must understand why you do this. It is about the culture. Everybody needs to understand why you do it. People come from different background, and you need to understand why Unibake wants it that way or that way. And you need to have a strategy for how you actually work with people to get in new people. When we started this, we never thought about people leaving. We thought this was the best job, but people are leaving. So you need to have a plan for actually take the next step when a new person comes in. So you need to continue training. The business result, I would say nowadays the people talk about S&OP. That's the culture journey that we made. And we have management working with it, especially like we have in Sweden. We have every month, we actually have the people as a management team sitting down and talking about S&OP, which was, as I said, supply chain was something new 5 years ago. We get the transparency, of course, less production damages, etc. But and here's something for Richard and his team. But you need to have a partner. You cannot be best. As I said once again, starting in 2013, you cannot be best. You need to have a partner. You need to have somebody that coach me. Anna has coached me several times here. So you need to work with that. But we started to actually develop the framework a little bit more. We changed the framework or the strategy, one Unibake strategy. So we took our purpose, our direction, and we said that we still have our targets, the long-term targets. But for us, it's now a framework, and we have 3 different things, 4 actually. We have the strategy, how we work, or what do we want to go, where we want to go. We have structures and processes, how we should work, and we have culture. So we have one strategy, as we talked about. We have a number of still functional excellence projects, etc., how to develop the business. But what came in very much new is, since we are on the journey, we needed the culture journey. And that's the biggest part that I will talk about now. These are our values. They are extremely good, actually. But the values and all these things are nothing if you don't have the leadership skills to work with it. So our focus for the next part in this journey that's now started in 2000, the change of the journey in 2015-16, is actually that we took in cultural tools. We took in the cultural part of everything. In the middle, we have our values, as you saw. They are openness, holistic view, and drive. Very strong words. We have 6 guiding stars that we work with. I will show you them soon. But except for those, we have very simple tools that we have as a framework nowadays. And they are very simple. They are actually, some of them are very simple. On the top there, it's Vakama. Vakama is a very simple tool. You need to walk to talk to a person first before you call them, before you think about mailing them. Of course, it's hard in a global company. You cannot walk to a person sitting in US, but try to call them before you mail them. Are we there? No, we have a long journey. We mail as much as everybody else, but we at least have them as everybody thinks about it. What you also saw when we did the little pen in the mouth is actually the chemicals in the brain. We as leaders need to understand the chemicals in the brain, how people react when we so positive side and of course the negative side of chemicals in the brain. There's a lot of tools. I will give you 4 of them later on. But this is our 6 guiding stars. The 6 guiding stars is for everybody in the company. They are supporting our values. The 6 guiding stars is grow talent. And when we talk about grow talent, it is the person next to you. It's the person that you work with. You should always grow the person next to you. You're not here alone. I'm working with people. So you need to grow the person next to you also, because then you get better. You need to have a will to win. That says by itself. You need to drive performance. We are here to drive performance. We are, even if we have farmers as owners, we have strong targets, I would say. Be brave. Make decisions. Take decisions. Go for it. Involve and inspire. Yes. Stand up and teach your colleagues. Stand up and work with your colleagues with that. And of course, the last one, develop yourself. You are responsible for your own development in the company. And when we come to that, talent, they are the ones that are the strongest in actually doing this. We took in a global role, for example, as I talked about. Adrian, can you stand up? When you go to the break afterwards, you can ask Adrian so many questions how it is to work in Lantmännen Unibake. Adrian is a global, she doesn't know that so she's not prepared for this. She's a business process manager. It is a global role. She is the person that actually, from a planning perspective, glue the rest of them sitting on the row there together, trying to make them work in the same way. We have people from Norway and we have people from Sweden sitting there, and they should work in the same way, according to the same strategy, according to the same structure, and according to the same way of feeling. Think, feel, and act. This is one of the biggest achievements during this journey, that we have actually appointed people that work with these 3 things. Yes. Key learnings during this journey, and actually it's mostly related to the talents, because you saw the journey. We started with some kind of framework strategy and moved on through functional excellence and through culture. We should have moved it the opposite way. We should have started with culture. Culture actually eats, culture and attitude, I would say, eats strategy for breakfast. You are nothing if you don't have the correct attitude. And talents like Adrienne, she wants bigger things. She wants to be part of something bigger than only delivering, drive the performance. As you saw, we have the 6 guiding stars. Talented people want all these. They want to involve, they want to inspire, they want to be part of it. Every change starts with these people. So bring people like Adrienne on board. If you have those people in your company, bring them on board directly. Do not sit in the management team and think about things, because they are smarter than you every day. And of course, they need to understand why. They really need to understand why. Otherwise, they leave to another company. So, Northvolt, you need to explain why. Otherwise, they leave. Okay, my 4 favorite tools. My first one is actually related to talent, extremely much related to talent. Because talented people not necessarily have the best skills, but they have the best attitude. People have a good behavior. They are thinking positive. They are thinking about building something in the company. They are talents. People that have good skills but bad attitude, they are the worst for your company. So talented people are not skills. Talented people are having the right attitude, the right behaviors. Those are our talents. And as I said earlier, they need to know why. We are, as manager, I'm starting to getting better at this every day, but as a manager, we talk about what and we talk about how. This is what you should do, and this is how you should do it. We need to be better at talking about why. What do you want to achieve? What is it that you want to avoid? What's the sense of meaning that you create by this? Is this motivated enough for these people? You also need to accept things. You make them to focus on things they control. For example, 5 minutes before I walked onto this stage, I was looking at my shoes and said, crap, they are dirty. But it's actually, I cannot do anything about it. I need to control it. I need to accept it. I need to have that one and say that, okay, it's too late. I could have influenced my decision earlier by doing that yesterday, by polish the shoes, but not today. And it's the same with your colleagues. You can influence them, but you cannot control what they do. And this is something that you need to help your talented people to, because they want so much. They want to do everything. Last one, and this is actually what we did with the pen. When you came in here, you were thinking, well, oh, boring person talking about Lantmännen. And then we took the pen, and then you all of a sudden were thinking, well, fun. He was funny. I felt good, and I laughed. This is what you need to do every day with talented people. Not taking the pen in the mouth, but you need to make them feel like you need to explain it so they think about their way of working and creating the result. And talk about result. It's the last part. We are a company that attracts talents. Are we good, better than others? No, maybe not. But this is why we start this journey with culture, because we are in position 6 in that analyze before many of other companies. But we know that it is because of our sustainability. People wants to be part of something bigger, some farming, etc. But when they come in, we need to take care of them. We need to give them something to believe in also. So yes, have we earned a position 6? Of course we have. We are a growth company also, so that's also something that we should be proud of, that all this journey that we are making, all these efforts that we are making is actually making growth. The part in the middle there, I am a cathedral builder. We need to think about us building, everybody in the company needs to build the cathedral. You cannot be a stone cutter. You cannot sit by yourself only cutting stones. You need to be part of the bigger picture. Why are you cutting stones? Because I'm building a cathedral. So we are a part of that. And when we started in 2013, strategy was actually not a positive word. It was something that you did, and then you believed that it should be all along. Now we change our strategies. We are not afraid of changing the strategy anymore. So we constant update it, and we try to communicate. It's extremely hard. And I always, when I talk like in front of people like this, we are on a change journey. Every time we are on a change journey. I was with Upsilon one time in Norway, I think, and the presentation was about, everybody was thinking, well, oh, damn, you're best in class. And we had to say in the end, no, we're not. We are on a change journey, and you all are, and yes, accept that one. So, and that's what we are doing now. We have a clear direction, and we are on that change journey. I think that was, yes, the last.
Thank you, Johan, and thank you also for exemplifying a company that is, really transitioning into the companies of the future, because the attitude that you talk about, I mean, I moderate large global conventions, and it's a lot about culture and purpose and why, and sometimes it's difficult, it becomes just words, but you sort of exemplify how you've also integrated that in your company, and also the neuroscience aspect of chemicals in the brains, and that sort of correlates to EQ and leadership and so forth. But let's see if we have any questions from the audience.
Scary questions.
One to start with, and then I have some. Considering that you are a consumer-driven business, what information do you use in your S&OP to understand consumer behavior and impact on demand?
Ooh, that was tough. No, but now we come to Optilon, actually. Because I guess it was an Optilon person that wrote this one. No, but we worked in 2000. When was it? 13. We started this change project a lot, and for us it's been a lot about going into more and more analyzed way of working with the consumer-driven, or what we can call it. But we are still our best forecaster. We make better forecast than our customer, and our customers say that often to us. And that's the retail market in Sweden, for example. It is hard to actually get better insight than ourselves. But of course we use that in S&OP, our own forecast, and I can answer that in that sense.
Oh, we got one more. Was there a lot of, I was going to actually ask that one. Was there a lot of resistance in your organization when you started the journey and the change back in 2013?
Yes, we need to be honest with that. And that's why I say you need to start with the culture first. You need to talk about why first. You need to give the person's understanding of what's the meaning and what's the purpose of this. And as we did the same mistake as so many people done. We were sitting in the management team, took a decision. We took a decision to invest in a lot of tools and a lot of things to do. But we forgot about the people. And that's why we say now, the culture comes first. Yes.
Good point. And how do you train people in the S&OP process?
We do it very simple, actually, I would say. Because, and that is also something that we did wrong in the beginning. Then we put in a lot of effort in in having consultants. Nothing wrong with consultants, but we did a lot of those things to put in people in training facilities and work with. Nowadays, we actually more just go with it. Take in one person at a time into the SNOP, and then we work with it. So it's not perfect, but you need to start somewhere. It will be wrong if you start by from it.
And this one is also related to culture. Being global, how do you work with culture and attitude to integrate it all over the company? I guess one was that you now have a business.
We have the
process
same
manager.
tools. We have the same tools and all these techniques that you saw. That's how we do it nowadays. We of course, earlier every country had their own strategies and their own way of working with it. But nowadays, everybody's trained in these tools. And as I said, we are honest when we say we are not perfect in it. But that is, everybody has accepted that those are those tools that we have. We don't have any new tools. We work with these ones. Yes.
And where do you find inspiration for new ideas within leadership and change management?
No, but new ideas, of course, we now we can come back to consultants. That's where you actually should use them. You should use them as that person that actually comes in and make give you new ideas. But you need to take them and go to practice. So that's where you take it. So for example, the culture picture that you saw, the tools for that one. Of course, we haven't created that ourselves. We have had the best consultants in helping us in that one, but we are the ones that actually roll it out.
And here's a bit on emerging technologies. Are you working on concrete machine learning cases in your supply chain, potentially in your SNOP progress? Do you have the talent in place for this?
The talents we have, but the capabilities, I wouldn't say that we use it in that sense. No, not. Of course, we have the tools that we work with. So.
But is it in a near vision, looking at machine learning?
Should we say that, Adrian?
Automation? I presume it is.
Adrian says yes.
Okay,
So,
yeah. Okay, let's see. 2 more questions. You get to choose.
Why does Korvbybagan sell frozen buns? Half of them always end up in the freezer. Don't do that. Don't put them in the freezer. Buy a new pack instead. Bread are not good then, coming from the freezers. Oh, there's a lot of questions.
Yeah, most of them we've taken. So how about, what's the biggest challenge in globalizing your supply chain process?
The biggest challenge is, of course, that it is bread. We are some types of bread you can actually travel. You can send them far away. We send actually Danish pastry products in Sweden. We call them wienerbröd. We sell them in US, but we produce them in Europe, for example. Those type of products, we can do it. But as you saw, Korvbybagan, we must produce it in Sweden. It's not possible to actually travel so far away. Maybe from Norway we could, but no. It's so much air in those type of products. So the supply chain is different depending on what product category. That's the complex world we live in, actually.
What kind of fresh products there is. Okay, let's see if there's one that is, how do you pitch a wachama to make it work? Is that something that must be a lingo I don't know?
Yeah, the wakama.
Wakama.
The wakama is hard because we all are so used to sending emails. You sent me the other day. You said e-meet you, and that was really funny.
Nice
actually.
to e-meet you.
Nice e-meet you. That's funny. But that's how we do. We send email to each other, and that we have decided that we need to change. You can get an email from a person sitting 5 meters away from you, and that's actually scary. That doesn't create the attitude and the culture that you need.
No. Have we taken most of them? I think so. How do you balance global processes with the need to be locally flexible? That's one I also thought about. Yeah, because you're local.
Yeah, and we have always said that the market is local. So we have always local salespeople. We have a local sales force. but that's why we talk about those. We have global SNOPs. We have global operations teams. We have globally, but it's always local market. The market needs are so different.
To every local. You want
Try to buy bread in Norway. It's totally different than us. So.
In a good way, maybe.
He's from Sweden, but he lives in Norway. So.
Okay, I see. Well, Johan, thank you so much for taking us on that journey.
Thank you.
And thank you for being at the forefront of taking the company into the next decade.
Thanks. Thank
Round
you.
of applause, Johan Uddin.